So the time has come today for another Harbeth speaker review on the Audiophiliac Daily Show. This time it's the C7XD. Yes, it is made in England, where all Harbeth speakers have always been made. But this is the new revised version, the XD. And well, the XD, the main difference between the XD and the previous C7 appears to be, as best as I can tell, they're kind of tight-lipped about the kind of differences that are going on here, is the crossover has been reworked, retuned. They use those kind of words. Exactly how, I don't know. As for the tweeter and the woofer, they appear to be the same. The woofer, by the way, is their own proprietary woofer. That is also rock solid. They never mess around with that. It's the Radial 2 material that they designed in-house. Its tweeters are outsourced. But anyway, I'm going to put up the complete specs as published on their website for your examination right now. I have to gush a tiny bit about the finish. My review samples were finished in cherry, just downright stunning. A couple of weeks ago, I was gushing about the Triangle Comet's rosewood finish. That was also spectacular. If anything, I would say the rosewood is actually a little prettier than this. But for cherry, this is really, really, really good. Round back, nice set of binding posts, nothing spectacular, but nicely done. But the overall fit and finish of the cabinet, beyond the beauty of the wood, is really, really superb. The price is $4,890 a pair in cherry. And by the way, I didn't mention that they come in matched pairs, left and right matched pairs. The speaker stands that I use for this review, I like them a lot. They're made by a company called Resonant Woods. They are made, not surprisingly, of wood. And they're open frame, which is nice. And being made of wood, they don't ring like metal stands do. And the tops of the stands where the speakers rest have rubber bumpers on them so the speakers can't slide off them. And on the bottom of the stands where the speakers hit the floor, they have these round balls which are adjustable, on screw threads for height. Very nicely conceived, nothing fancy, but they are, in the words of Herb Reichert, not free. They are $990 a pair. Of course, I am going to do an Audiophiliac viewer system of the day later on in this video, and I will, in the description box, list the components in that viewer system. And as for the components used in today's review of the Harbeth C7 XD, rather than rattle them off and show you pictures, I will just list them in the description also below this video. So as for the sound of this speaker, it's very fast sounding. As I said, it sounds kind of like a high sensitivity speaker, though it's not a high sensitivity speaker. I don't know what magic dust Alan Shaw sprinkled in the crossover that makes it sound that way, but it sounds lively in the way that I associate with high sensitivity speakers. With different music that I played through this review, that's what I kept coming back to, is this speaker has that kind of jump factor. So yeah, I started with some classical music. Yeah, I've said I got to start with the classics. In this case, classic rock. Led Zeppelin II. Does it get more classical than that? I think not. And it's British rock, obviously, right? British rock on a very British speaker. So it's 50 years old, more or less, that album, on a 21st century speaker. Seemed like a way to start my listening session. But seriously, it sounded fresh. That was my immediate reaction, was I've played this music so many times, and yet it sounded fresh. Especially John Bonham's drums. That kick, that drive that he brought to that music was just wow. So yeah, when I heard it in the first place, more than Jimmy Page's guitar, more than Robert Plant's vocals, it was Bonham's drums, John Paul Jones on bass. That drive, that rhythm section knocked me out when that record was new. And here I am listening to it half century later, and over these speakers, I felt it like, yes, this was what got me in the first place. Because these speakers do that rhythm thing, rhythm and pace, Pratt, whatever the hell you want to call it. It does that so well. And I wasn't anticipating that. I did not see that coming. But that's what these speakers have. So from Zeppelin, I went to Elvis, but not that Elvis. I went to Elvis Costello, and not one of Elvis's better known albums. It's called Kojak Variety, and it's not his music. It's covers. And I guess he was maybe in a rut or something, or hit a dry spell, and he just did cover tunes of music, presumably, that he really liked. He covered Ray Davies' Days, a King song that I really love. It's really good. But his version of Dylan's I Threw It All Away is just so good. He's a great singer. Elvis Costello can really sing. He can really pour himself into a tune. And just throughout the whole record, he covers Mose Allison. It's hard to do and do it well, but he does. It's a terrific record. And I'm thinking about how the C7 XD does vocals. And you just zero in on the vocals. You hear that singer singing, and it's just that's what you get. When the singer can sing, and not all singers, certainly not all pop singers, are great singers, but some of them, like Elvis, who's not technically a great singer, but he's an interpreter of song, put it that way. And that's what it does. So, yeah, I was digging that. And if you're an Elvis fan but somehow missed Kojak Variety, I recommend you check it out. At this point, it made sense to compare the C7 XD with the Graham LS6, another British speaker, kind of buttoned down British speaker, but a very beautiful sounding speaker, and set them up and do a head-to-head. And it was clear right away that the LS6 is a more buttoned down sound, not as lively as the C7 XD. But tonally, in the mid-range, the way both speakers treated vocals and acoustic instruments and stuff, they were similar. They were. But the C7 XD had more life to it. That's true. But when I played more acoustic music, and as the years go by, I'm drawn to quieter and quieter music. So for that type of music, they were sort of head-to-head, really. Play some Frank Sinatra. They're both really, really good. They're both really, really good. And maybe, the thing about the LS6, it sounds like tubes even when it's being used with solid state. So if you lean that way towards warmth, the LS6 is a very beautiful sounding speaker. So anyway, I'm doing these comparisons. And the thing is, the C7 XD is a bigger sounding speaker, meaning it's liver, it's got more jump to it. It's also more open sounding. The LS6 does sound boxier. And when I say boxier, people say, what is boxier? It means more closed in, more like the sound is coming out of a box. And you go back to the C7 XD, it just sounds bigger, more spacious, less like the sound is coming out of a box. After I finish these comparisons between the LS6 and the C7 XD, I like both speakers. I really, really do. But the thing is, which one plays a wider range of music? The C7 XD absolutely does. But if your tastes are more narrow, meaning you play quieter music and you don't play loud and you don't need jump in your music, the LS6 is really, really nice. So, horses for courses, something like that. That's what I'm sort of circling around here. I like both a lot. I'm going to do a quick little interruption here just to say I wish the C7 XD's low end had a bit more weight to it, a bit more warmth and fullness. Yeah, it's fast, it's clear, it's very, very articulate, and I love it for that. But a little bit more soul down there would have been welcome. Yeah, Yeah, definitely. Back to the review. I'm going to do a music pick right now. So if you just care about the gear, you can fast forward a bit to the Audiophiliac viewer system of the day. But right now, I'm going to talk about this Moondog album. I'm going to show it to you right now. And Moondog, whose real name is Lewis Harden, he was an odd character that he was a street musician. He hung out actually in front of the CBS building on 6th Avenue in Manhattan. I think it's 52nd Street, whatever. And he was a serious composer, he was a poet, and he did this music late in his career. It's for a large saxophone ensemble and other instruments, and he played bass drum, maybe some other percussion. But it's a really gorgeous piece of music, beautiful recording, and I just love it. It's meditative, it's big sounding, it's melodic. It is avant-garde music, but it isn't crazy music. It's not going to make you nuts or anything. So if I pique your interest, check it out. I'm sure you can stream it on various sources and stuff. But it's just, you know, he's one of those artists who made a lot of music in his life, and he had a hard life. He was blind, and well, he made a lot of music. You should check it out. But this one is actually a great place to start, this album. Anyway, now we actually will do the Audiophiliac viewer system of the day. This one comes from Curtis, and his hi-fi is in the middle of his home studio. Lots of really cool stuff in there. As for his audio system, there's a mobile Fidelity Ultradeck turntable with an UltraTracker moving magnet cartridge. Phono stage is a Parks Audio Budgie. The amplifier is a Van Alstine modded Dynaco ST-70 tube amp. There's a Schiit Audio Freya Plus preamp. Airist R-2R DAC. There's a Schiit Loki equalizer. That's an interesting choice considering he has a home studio. Check out those horn speakers. Those are Klipsch Forte IIIs. And I guess part of the home studio, there's what I think are focal speakers, Amphions, and other things in there. Oh, and also part of the home system is an SVS PB-3000 running in sealed mode. Thanks, Curtis. You know that I take great pleasure in presenting these viewer systems. I mean, it's a lot of work for me to pick them and edit them and record the narration, but it's terrific that you get to see each other's stuff. And I'm shooting for variety. Speaking of Kojak variety, I'm shooting for a range of types of systems. And it's now time for me to say, my name is Steve Guttenberg. This is the Audiophiliac Daily Show. If you like what I do here, and you must to stick around this long, please consider subscribing to this channel. Super easy to do. All you gotta do is hit the freaking button right down there. When you do, hit the bell, so you'll be notified every time there's an amazing new episode. Then, if that's not enough, you know where the hip people go. The hip people go to the Patreon, my Patreon, which can be found at patreon.com/Audiophiliac, and there is a link to that directly below in the description to this video. After that, well, we got playlists. And I used to say I was going to link to them or show them up there, and I know that that doesn't work for a lot of people, so I'm going to tell you to just go to the home page of the Audiophiliac Daily Show, and at the top of the page, and I'll show you a picture of that slide right now, the playlists are listed there. You click on that and you'll get to see all of the playlists, which there are many. For instance, speaker reviews and headphone reviews and music reviews and viewer systems, tons and tons of stuff. Not to mention interviews, but I just did. Anyway, I can now say my work here is at last complete. Thank you so much for watching, and I really do hope to see you back here again very, very soon. Bye-bye.